I need to see.
You don't need to see anything. I'm a traveler, not a driver.
I understand you're not a traveler, but I'm talking to the female driver.
She's a traveler too. She doesn't need any identification.
But I need her license.
You don't. Driver's license is if the state converts a liberty into a privilege, the citizen can engage with the right with impunity. Driver's license is a privilege.
Okay, I still need to see the driver's
license. No, you don't.
I go drug traffic infraction.
No, you don't. Is it any crime? You just said you took an oath to the Constitution, and yet you're pulling us over, and we don't have a crime. You don't have a corpus delicti. You don't say that we robbed anybody, we didn't kill anybody. So you're out of your jurisdiction, and you're finna lose your job. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You took an oath to the Constitution, sir. You're pulling us over without a crime.
No, there's an infraction.
There's not a crime. Infraction is not a crime. An infraction is not a crime. You just said you took an oath to the Constitution.
Okay.
Okay. There's nowhere in the Constitution where it says none of these legislations or regulations that you're saying is in the Constitution.
I still need to see a driver.
No, you don't, because I'm not a driver. I'm not a driver.
You have an ID.
I don't need an ID. I'm a traveler. We are a travelers. We're travelers. We don't need identification. All right. You want to keep... That's another second. We're going to sue this whole state. You're finna lose your job, sir. We know our rights. We know you're finna lose your job. No, you're finna lose your job. You're finna lose your job.
Does anybody have any forms of identification at all?
Identification is for a driver, not a traveler. We're travelers. Freemen, traveling free on the land and in the land.
Okay.
Almighty in heaven, we're coming to you right now to get this demon to flee from our car right now. Get him, Father. Get him, Father, right now at this very moment. Please get us out of this situation right now. He know he's doing everything illegal. He know he's doing stuff illegal, Father. Get him out of our car right now. Get away from our car right now, Father. Right now, Father, get him out of our car and mother on earth. In the name we bind these demons that's becoming out of our car right now, and we ask them to flee right now at this very moment. Protect your children right now. We're not doing anything wrong, Father. We're following your law and not man's law. We follow the Creator's law and not man's law. And he's out of he is transgressing your law right now at this very moment, Father. So please get him. Please, Father, get him right now. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Please get him away from my car right now. Get him away from my car. They're finna break our window. Please get him away from my car. Please get him away from my car right now. Please get him away from my car right now. Please get him away from my car right now. Please get him away from my car right now, Father. Please get him away from my car right now. Please get him away from my car right now, Father. Please get him away from my car right now. Please get him away from my car at this very moment, Father. Please get him away from my car. Please get him away from my car right now. Please get him away from my car. Oh, Father, please don't let him shoot us. Please don't let them shoot us. Please don't let them shoot us, Father, please. Oh, forgive me for my sins, Father. Forgive me for my transgressions. Forgive me for my ways.
Blessings, everybody. I just want to talk a little bit about this video, and this subject was actually on my mind a couple of weeks ago, but when the sister inboxed me this video just a couple of days ago, it reminded me to do it. So I just want to talk a little bit about it and try to explain a few things to y'all. As we see the brother in the video, you know, he got drug out of his car. You know, the window got busted out. The cop drug him out the car and arrested him. Now, it didn't really have to go that far. Now, first off, the brother was being disobedient. And I know some of you might not see it like that, but he actually was. And I got some scriptures here that we're going to go into. Because our people have to learn the right way to act and the wrong way to act. And the one thing that we have to remember is that we are in the land of our enemies. This is not our land, okay? And this is their laws. This is their system. It's all their system. The corporation nation. And no matter what land you go into, if it's not your own, you got to go by the guidelines that they have, you know, set abroad for the people in the land. And if you don't go by those laws, those guidelines, those statutes, then you're going to end up in trouble with them. Because the Most High makes it clear that we are to be obedient to those over us in the lands that we're in, so that no harm would come to us. Now, of course, today, sometimes, you know, a lot of times, we get unjustly harmed anyway. That does happen. But a lot of times, it can be avoided. But we got to know how to conduct ourselves as the Most High tells us in His Word. And a lot of you probably going to get cut by these scriptures that I'm about to bring out. But I have to go through it so that y'all can get an understanding on how to keep yourselves at all times. Okay? No matter who we are among. Now, let's go to, let's start over here. Let's start with Romans chapter 13 over here. Start Romans chapter 13. Romans chapter 13, 1 through 7, okay? And let's jump into this. And see what the Most High says on how we should conduct ourselves, okay, among the government, among any government, among anybody who's over us. Verse 1, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained by God. Okay? So it does not matter what land you are in or who is over you. If they are in power, it's ordained by the Most High Yah. That's the first thing that we must understand. If they are in power, it is ordained by the Father. That's first. Listen. Verse 2. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resisteth the ordinance of God. You hear that? So, if you being disobedient to those over you, then you're being disobedient to the Most High Yah. So you are to be obedient to them, which is also being obedient to Him. Let's keep reading. And they that resist shall receive to themselves domination. So isn't that what just happened to the brother in the video? He resists the officer. And he got dominated. They bust out the window, dragged him out the car, and arrested him. All he had to do, look, it's nothing that important about your ID. I don't care whether you under common law, federal law, whichever one you choose to go under. They still got laws in this land for both that you have to follow and go by. So if they ask for your ID, just give them the ID. Whichever one you using. It doesn't matter. Give it to them. If they ask you to get out the car, then get out the car. Because when you don't do these things, then you're putting your own self in danger. Matter of fact, you're already in danger when they pull you over. Just because of who you are. Our people. When they pull you over, you're already in danger. So why you want to escalate the situation? De-escalate the situation. Don't escalate the situation. Look. Let's read. We at verse 3. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is the minister of God to thee for good. Okay, now what he's saying right here, those that are over you, is the minister of the Most High. So if you are doing good, then you should not have no fear in those who are over you. Now, I know the system today, those that are over us, okay, they are against us. We all know that. And they just keep getting more and more wicked as time goes past. But regardless, if you act accordingly, a lot of times you can get yourself out of that situation. And it really don't have to escalate and go any farther. Again, when they're pulling you over, you are already in danger just because of who you are. So you should already be ready to de-escalate the situation. And that's by following everything that they say do, okay? Unless it's wicked, then you ought to follow the Most High first. But if it ain't wicked, just go ahead and do it. Giving your ID, giving your insurance, whatever they asking for, give it. I don't care if they ask for it 10 times. If they ask where you going, tell them where you're going. They ask you to get out the car, get out the car. There's no point of you resisting to get out the car, because when you don't get out the car, what happened to this brother in the film is going to happen to you. So then they're going to drag you out the car. So you might as well have got out in the first place. You get my point? Let's keep reading here. Where am I? Let's see. Be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain, for he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Verse 5. Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for consent's sake. For this cause pay ye tribute also, for they are God's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing. Render therefore to all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honor to whom honor. Okay? Now, that's what the Most High had to say about that. So, when you are already being disobedient to the authority that's coming to you, that's standing in front of you, then you are being disobedient. You are being disobedient to the Most High, and you're about to land yourself in more trouble. A lot of our people get killed just for doing nothing. So why you even want to play around like that? Don't even put yourself in that type of predicament. Okay, look, let's go to another verse. Let's keep proving what I'm saying, how you were supposed to conduct yourself. Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 2. Okay, 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 11 through 19. Okay, 1 second. Okay, 1 Peter chapter 2, 11 through verse 11 through 19. Dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims. Abstain from fleshly lusts, which war against the soul. Which war against the soul. Having your conversation honest among the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may by your good works, which they shall behold, glorify God in the day of visitation. Okay, so look, he's already telling you that these people over you already speak evil of you. Okay, they're already speaking evil of you, so they already ready. They already, look, soon as they come up to that car, or as soon as they approach you in person, they already hoping that you know what I'm saying, get out of control. Start being disobedient to what they trying to tell you. They waiting for it. They banking on it. Just so they can have a reason to do whatever they're going to do to you. Whether they beat you down, whether they kill you, or whether they arrest you. And again, yes, sometimes it happens anyway. But that's why you should be all the more careful. You get what I'm saying? Verse 13. Submit yourselves to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake, whether it be the king as supreme, or unto governors, as unto them that are sent by him for the punishment of evildoers, and for the praise of them that do well. For so is the will of God, that with well-doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men, as free, and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness, but as the servants of God. Okay, so look, you got to understand. Don't use your liberty, okay? Don't use your freedom. Don't use anything in this walk, okay? Don't use you being, you know what I'm saying, the Most High chosen people as a clutch to be disobedience. I'm sorry, not disobedient, but disobedient. As a clutch to be disobedient. Always be willing to do good. Be obedient to the Most High Yah by being obedient to them. That's what he's telling you. And that's what you're going to have to understand. If you want to stay safe in this land by all costs. We are already top on the list, okay? We're at the top of the list. To them, okay? To take out. We're at the top. So you got to be careful. Let's see here. Where I'm at. I'm at verse 17. Honor all men. Love the brotherhood. Fear God. Honor the king. Servants, be subject to your masters with all fear, not only to the good and gentle, but also to the froward. For this is thankworthy. If a man for consents towards God endure grief, suffering, and wrongfully. Suffering wrongfully. Is what I meant to say. But look, he keep telling you the same thing and over and over and over. This is how you are going to keep yourself safe in the land of captivity, in the land that is not your own. You're going to have to be subject to their laws in this land. But if it's a wicked law, okay, if it's something that's evil, then you ought to follow the Most High first. And I'm not saying this as if you don't have a right to protect yourself or protect your family or your people, because you have every right to do that, but only after following, you know what I'm saying, all that they are telling you to do. You have to give leeway for the Most High to be able to come in and protect you by being obedient. So look, if you end up happening to protect yourself, then let it happen after you have done everything that they have told you to do. So if they come up to the car and they ask for your ID and you give it to them, you give them everything else they ask for. Then they ask you to get out the car, and you get out the car. Okay? You're not sticking your chest out. You're not doing any of that. And then they proceed to just jump on you for no reason. Then yeah, then you have the right to protect yourself. Because now, you know, you are not in, you know what I'm saying, violation of the Most High. If they jump on your family for no reason, yeah, you got the right to protect your family. But only if you was doing everything righteous yourself in the first place by being obedient. If you came off disobedient, then you put yourself in that situation. So this guy in the film, he was already being disobedient. He put himself in that situation. And then on top of that, he gonna try to pray to the Most High. But yeah, he was the one in the wrong. The Most High wasn't going to do anything for him, because he was already being disobedient. And that's why he got drugged out that car. Let's see where we at here. Okay. Let's go over to Titus chapter 3. Verse 1 through 5. Titus chapter 3, verse 1 through 5. And let's read it again here. Put them in mind to be subject to principalities and powers. So what I'm doing right now, I'm putting you in mind to be subject to the powers, to the governors, okay, to the rulers in this land that are over you. I'm reminding you, stop the foolishness and give way to those who are in authority over you. I'm reminding you. So that you can be safe at all costs. And don't put yourself in a predicament that you ain't never have to be in the first place. Like Sandra Bland. She went off in a split second. And where did it lead her? It led her to getting arrested and murder. You see what I'm saying? And they will, when they come up to the car, they will try to pick a fight with you sometime. But you got to keep your head. You got to think ahead of the game. You got to be smart. Don't let them take you out of your game. Always be be 10 steps ahead of them. Always be ahead of the game. Be more wise than they are. And you should be. Because you're the Holy One. You're the ones who's supposed to be showing them the way. You're the light for them, not the other way around, even though they are in authority over you. And if worse comes to worse, and they mistreat you, and God forbid the worst happen and you get killed, or even just get locked up, or you get beat or something like that, but you did your part, as in being, you know what I'm saying, submitting yourself to them, then the Most High would come and you know what I'm saying, render his judgment against them, bring his wrath against them for what they did to you. But he's not going to do that unless you do what he's saying do in these scriptures. Let's see. Where's that? Verse 1. Let's read it over again. Put them in mind to be subject to principalities and powers, to obey magistrates, to be ready to every good work, to speak evil of no man, to be no brawlers, but gentle, showing all meekness unto all men. For we ourselves also were sometimes foolish, disobedient, deceived, serving divers lusts and pleasures, living in malice and envy, hateful and hating one another. So, you know, what he's saying, look, we also used to do these things, but we had to give way to the Most High Word. I used to be like that too when I was younger. But I had to give way to his word. I had to wisen up. You got to do the same. You are in the land of your enemies. This is not your land. Okay? You are under somebody else's rule. Do not get yourself in trouble. Give them no reason. Okay? That's what you're going to have to do here. At all costs, you're going to have to do it. There's no way around it. There's no way out of it. There's no way out of it until we leave. But there's no way around it. Let's see. Verse 4. But after that, the kindness and love of God our Savior towards man appeared, not by works of righteousness which we have done, but according to his mercy he saved us by washing of regeneration and renewing of the Holy Ghost. Okay. Now, let's go to Acts chapter 5 because I want to show you something. And I just want y'all to be clear about this. And to understand this also, that even though, yes, they are over us, also to understand without a shadow of a doubt that if they give you any wicked command, then know you are not to follow that command or be obedient to that command, but then you ought to follow the Most High first. So that's what you have to understand. That's how it always out, okay? So if they're telling you to do something and it ain't against the Most High, then you best believe you better do it. Or you're going to end up like this brother in this video. Or worse. And I don't want to see that happen. I know your family don't want to see that happen. You have to give way. But if they telling you to do something, okay, that's wicked, you ain't doing nothing that's wrong, okay, you ought to always follow the Most High first. His law trumps their law if it's wicked. If it's wicked. But asking for your ID is not wicked. Telling you to get out the car is not wicked. They might have something wicked in plan, but like I said, you got to think ahead of the game. And that means being being obedient, okay? Not disobedient. Being obedient. Be ahead of the game. Think ahead of them. So we going to Acts chapter 5. I believe it's verse 27 to 29. Let's read that so we can have a clear understanding about this. And when they had brought them, they set them before the council. And the high priest asked them, saying, Did not we straitly command you that ye should not teach in this name. And behold, ye have filled Jerusalem with your doctrine, and indeed to bring this man's blood upon us. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey God rather than men. Okay? So you always obey God rather than men. He's not saying disobey the authority, but if what they're saying is wicked, then you ought to follow the Most High law first. That's what he's telling you. But always be obedient to authority. Now let's go to Paul. I want to show this right quick. To give you another example. 25. Acts chapter 25. Let's see. Acts chapter 25, verse 7 through 8. And let's read this. And let's read this about Paul. This is when Paul was, standing in court. In a Gentile court. Okay? That our people brought him into. But listen. And all of you know this scripture too. And when he was come, the Jews which came down from Jerusalem stood round about, and laid many and grievous complaints against Paul, which they could not prove, while he answered for himself, neither against the law of the Jews, neither against the temple, nor yet against Caesar have I offended anything at all. Okay, now what he's saying is, look, I ain't break no laws. I didn't break any of our laws. I didn't break any of the law, statutes, and commandments. Nor, have I broke any laws about going into the temple with Gentiles. Nor have I broke any law of Caesar's. Okay, because remember, at that point in time, the Gentiles' government was over them. So he said it. Look, I've been following everybody's laws. I followed the Most High laws, and I followed Caesar's laws. So this is what I'm saying. If Paul is showing you right here, he's giving you a guideline, a light to follow. If he had to do it, then what's so special about you? He followed the Most High laws, and he followed the laws of the Gentiles, who was over them at the time, the authority over them that the Most High placed over them. And they didn't have anything on them. They had nothing on them. So at the end of the day, they had to let him go. And they tried this with Paul over and over and over and over again. And most times they was unsuccessful. But I just wanted to show that, as an example, okay? If Paul have to do it, then why are you so special? I'm just saying, people, you have to learn how to keep yourself safe in the land of our enemies. Because if you don't wisen up, then you're going to end up on a list. You're going to be in the morgue, or you're going to end up locked up in a prison somewhere. Or you might get beat down by the police, might be another Rodney King. You don't know what's going to happen. And yes, we are targeted the most. And something could happen to you anyway. But the point is, okay, you still are to be obedient to the authority over you, because that's also being obedient to the Most High. And again, it does not mean that you cannot protect yourself, your family, or your people. But first you have to follow the guidelines. And then if it comes down to it, and they proceed on to do something to you, then you have the right to protect yourself. Okay? then you have the right to protect yourself. And you won't be going against the Most High. You won't be in danger of being in the wrath of the Most High. So understand that. Again, you have to wisen up to keep yourself safe in this land. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, because we see this all over the internet. I mean, this ain't the first brother I done seen got his window smashed out and drugged out the car and arrested because he didn't, want to show his ID or other information, or didn't want to get out the car. Again, they are banking on that. They are banking that you act up. That's why they do it. You ever notice that we get carded for no reason? Why? Because they hoping that you act up. They want you to give them a reason. Even a lot of times they do stuff to us without no reason, but they still want you to give them a reason. They just sitting there and waiting and hoping. You see how patient they was? So they just let it escalate. So now they can show it all over the news. You got this disobedient brother, okay, to the law, to the authority over him. And look, we was in the right now. And then they can pop that all over the news and say, look what we did, and laugh about it. And then point fingers all at our people and say, look at them. But y'all gonna learn. You have to learn. Or what happened to him is going to happen to you. I see too much of this stuff going around. It's happening all the time. Y'all see it. There's many videos out there like this. Brothers sitting in the car, getting dragged out in front of their families. Sometimes it's the women. Okay? Sometimes they whole family in the car, and then they got their whole family in danger. Because they want to be disobedient. It's very simple. Again, I don't care how many times they ask for your ID. They ask for it 5 times, give it to them 5 times. Ain't nothing that important about that ID. Give it to them. I don't care whether you're under common law, federal law. It don't matter. Give them what they're asking for. Do what they say. If they say get out the car, get out the daggone car. It's not that hard. Quit being so scared of what they're going to do to you if you get out the car. Because the truth be told, if you don't do what they say, they're going to drag you out that car and do whatever they was going to do to you anyway. So again, smarten up, wise up, okay? And thank you all for tuning in for this video. Shalom.